The rooster's weakness is vanity, was possibly the reason that I get grief from roosters for saying that. So, if you reckon you're a rooster, it'll probably be because you were born in 1945, 57, 69, 81, 93 or 2005. Careful about the beginning of the year, of course. The year will tend to be about the most obvious physical immediate stuff. It's the part of you that gets affected most rapidly. So to look at the rooster year will tell you about things that are happening immediately, looking at the effects on a rooster. But it's also about your deepest history. So it'll be about your family patterns, DNA patterns, heredity, traditions, all that kind of stuff. Also parents and grandparents. It doesn't matter whether you consider it to be grandparents or parents. I shouldn't get into any arm wrestles about that because it's pretty much the same thing. Given the rate at human beings generally learn, very little difference between the influence of parents and grandparents. So those years, I'm teaching this stuff all the time by Zoom, one-to-one. So, you know, I cover these things in more detail when I do that. And I'm also doing barzis for people all the time. And I go into, obviously, a great deal of detail when I'm doing that. And I may go way into the world of woo-woo in doing that, because this is not entirely a mechanical exercise. So, however, if you were born in the month, the Chinese solar month of September, that is to say, starting something around the 7th or the 8th of September, you'd need to check it. You will be a monkey by the month, which will relate to your more shallow history, your education, the work environment, siblings, exes, those kinds of things. If you're born on the day of the monkey, that will be particularly who you are, and more particularly the stem of that day. So if the day is, let us say, a metal monkey, it's about the metal stem more than anything. If you were born into a monkey day, but the day stem, that metal of the metal monkey day pillar, will tell you most particularly who you are, and the monkey will be your partner. The hour is about the future, it's about kids, it's about hopes and prayers and dreams and things you might not necessarily talk about. There's also what's called a life house, which is about possible paths. Master Chan Ken Wah used to say that if the day stem is a car, the life house is the garage. Interpret that as you will. So what is a rooster? The rooster is yan metal, the night bird, glamorous and with an eye for detail. She appreciates an argument and likes to win, but has little patience for causes that drag on. She will appreciate jewellery, fine art and good living, and create wealth easily. She can spend it easily too. Conversely, of course, a wide-awake rooster, like, for instance, Aung San Suu Kyi, can reject such distractions in order to serve a cause that has indeed dragged on for decades. And like Aung San Suu Kyi, this is the Myanmar politician, can suddenly and mysteriously change their mind. This is yin and yang. The rooster's moral compass is often a learned thing. Glamorous and fickle are words often associated. Sun, the character of yin metal, looks like the stiletto that could as easily end up in your back as adorn the glamorous heel. The rooster being, of course, yin metal. And time being in the winter. I don't remember whether I talked about the hour. If you're born in the hour, yes I think I did. Talked about future. Good, that's okay. The typical rooster is suited to work such as that of an advocate, a lawyer, involving short, decisive arguments, totally passionately on your side for 25 minutes and then on to the next one. Or 25 hours or 25 weeks maybe, as long as she's well paid for it. Her brief passion is the perfect support for a client. She can defend with enormous commitment and then move on to the next one. Rooster's commitment is 100% but often short-lived. If she is in a job that involves holding her peace, she may fret and become ill. Osama bin Laden may be a good example of a typical 1947 fire rooster. He has just the one big splash to his name, but probably a tiny bit impatient, wouldn't you say? For a rooster, the car must be fast apart and challenging, and life full of twists and turns. So certainly those last bits probably true for him. The rooster will be quick-witted rather than profound, with concentration focused tightly before moving on. Attention span is usually short. Her allies, the snake and the ox, are sometimes impatient with her because she can digress so widely and so easily But she brings to this metal alliance the pure competitiveness that the ox might otherwise misuse and the snake misunderstand. So they're a good team in that sense, in that they temper each other, which is probably the right word for metal. She is pure metal, pure metal. That is determined to get it right at all costs, and they are not in quite the same way. Ox likes to stick to the point, snake does what works, which can be interpreted lots of ways. They will not win many cases or many contracts without her, and they would do well to pay and respect her appropriately, even though she expects longer holidays and more money. A support system that dots T's and attends to punctuation will tend to empower the rooster's intuitive flashes. She needs a team to generate opportunities in which she will embrace and exploit. Respect, especially that of a support system, is so often a life lesson. For team reads spouse, by the way. Her respect of her team and of her spouse. The rooster is determined to be the center of attention, but in a particular way. Some people would say the rooster has to be the sexiest. Maybe that's true, but certainly that the rooster is like Snow White's stepmother. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of us all? She suffers from what's called the self-clash, which is true of pigs and dragons and horses too, but in different ways. Pigs just don't want to cooperate. They want to do it by themselves. Dragons have huge egos and just can't be bothered to explain things. And horses want to dance on tables, and there's usually only space for one on the table. A rooster is a little bit like that, but not quite. Her most dangerous pitfalls are sex, drugs and rock and roll. They like to party, and their personality may be addictive. They are likely to prefer dusk to dawn and also to the small hours. The rooster enjoys a powerful alliance with the dragon, in which they may hold the whip hand. This may be unique in the dragon's experience. They can bend the dragon out of shape, just as the ox can bend the rat. This is not always entirely healthy, and such sway must be employed responsibly, otherwise both can be damaged. With that proviso, this is one of the strongest alliances in the Chinese zodiac. The rooster, predictably, is one of the charismatic flowers of romance. She would be, wouldn't she? Success and glamorous partners come easily to her. Often a rooster can punch above her weight in this regard. Cinderella was a rooster, and Yoko Ono too. Also Lillian too. This effortlessness, this effortless brilliance can make for complacency and bitterness, and it is common among the middle-aged rooster. Growing old is hard for her, who can so easily care about who is the fairest. Consider these aspects in the contrasting lives of Mick Jagger, and Che Guevara, both of whom were born in different years on the day of the rooster, so most particularly them. Who'd have thought Mick Jagger was vain? No. You're so vain you probably think this song is about you, as Carly Simon wrote about it, who allegedly was about Mick Jagger, might have been about, can't remember his name, Warren Beatty. But Carly Simon, 1945, would roast her. Why would she be concerned with vanity? Well, when I project, what I say may be true of you and will be true of me. That's the nature of projection. And good old Carly Simon, wonderful bass line from Klaus Voormann. Anyway, the year animal represents parents, among other things. So to say that a woman is a rooster is to say that her father was in some sense a rooster too. It's almost a given that the father of a female rooster was at least sociable, if not a player. Perhaps this is a socially induced gender issue, but the yin metal glamour does tend to play out differently for a male rooster. But definitely, roosters generally, their priority is quite clear. With the monkey, this wily numerate bird can form a commercial alliance. A business co-run by these two will be irresistible, but may not open on time. It may not close promptly either, and may suffer the cash flow problems that come from poor financial prioritization. Not poor accounting, poor prioritization. They'll make lots of money, but they may spend more. A marriage would risk the same types of problems: great parties, early divorce. The cautious, domesticated rabbit is the nemesis of the rooster. The rooster likes bling, and the rabbit can see no life in a stone. So they are opposite on the compass, opposite on the calendar, opposite on the clock. Any close relationship would tend to be full of obstruction and passive aggression, as well as disappointment and a failure to keep agreements. And so a rooster in a rabbit year, that kind of thing will be going on around them, unless they have learned to be aware of that and do something different. And generally, the rooster will be the disappointer and the rabbit the disappointed. So that is this year. Any close relationship will tend to be full of obstruction and passive aggression. The insistent wood of the tiger is almost as maddening to the rooster, although its fierceness would at least engage the rooster's attention. That's yang wood to yin metal, which is a very interesting combination, both feeling a bit fish out of water. The loyal, consistent dog usually bores her rigid, though she may in extremis fall upon him for support. And in the words of the Loving Spoonful, you remember the Loving Spoonful? Did you ever have to change your mind, daydream, you know, somewhere in the city? Anyway, they had a song called Only Pretty, What a Pity. And the worst case, that's the rooster. In the best case, the rooster uses her charm and her ability and her logical thought to change the world. So that's the rooster.